I feel like Diggs was pissed off today. Like, he was visibly mad on the field. And I don't know if it was because he wasn't getting the ball, but that 3rd and 2 in I think it was in field goal range. No, I don't. It might not have been. It might have been close. The route was designed for Diggs, and then he threw it to McKenzie. McKenzie dropped it. They showed Diggs. He's shaking his head. He's like, I don't know if he was pissed off because McKenzie dropped it. I don't know if he was pissed off because they didn't get the first down. I don't know if he was pissed off because he wasn't involved in the game more. But that was the first time in these years I've actually seen him visibly mad on the field, not counting it when he went up to McDermott and was like on his shoulder. He seemed actually upset today, and I was kind of like, I don't really like that. But
yeah, I think it probably was a little bit of all of what you said, right? Let me give you some numbers here from the receivers real quick. They're not pretty. They're not pretty at all. We had Dawson Knox on 7 targets. He had 4 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown. Diggs had 3 receptions for 37 yards on 5 targets. Gabe Davis had 3 catches for 31 yards on 4 targets. And McKenzie had 3 catches for 21 yards on 5 targets. Just ugly. Just ugly. So I could see why he'd be upset. Jake, let me throw it to you. What's your thoughts on what Sean's saying there about Diggs? He obviously he's super competitive, and I'm sure that he's like, why am I only being thrown to 5 times? When we did see him complete passes or completed passes, he had put some great moves on a couple of the guys that were defending him. So
yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
That pivot route that he ran on that 32-yard catch, holy smokes. I mean, I was like, I fell out of my chair. I mean, that was a beautiful, beautiful route. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL, and obviously a top 5 receiver in the NFL for a reason. It was frustrating to see him just with the lack of looks. Like, you got to find a way to get him the ball. If he doesn't have at least 10 targets a game, honestly, I don't care if you're playing against Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, whoever it is, throw him the football, because he's the only guy on the team who's proven that he can make those catches in tough, tight situations and clutch situations too. So, yeah, I 100% respect that he was frustrated, and I can totally see why, because it seemed like they weren't even trying to make him a part of the game plan. Like, whether it was, whether he's open or not, throw him the football, because he'll make a contested catch, unlike these other guys. So, yeah, I'm frustrated by it as well. I really don't understand it. And, yeah, I think they need to take a deep, hard look at their game plan and go back to what works. And what also was frustrating too is just like when we'd run a couple plays, even in the run game and stuff, when it was working, even the short throws to Dawson Knox, it's like we just seem to get away from it. It's like, why not just keep riding that momentum? And I get, like, obviously you don't want to be like Brian Dable calling the same play over and over again, but you can still do a similar concept, especially with the short routes and whatnot. And that was working so well. That one drive where we went down and scored with Dawson Knox, that was textbook, So I just don't understand it. That is some of the most frustrating things I've seen with Ken Dorsey, is just the fact that whenever we seem to get momentum and we have these big plays and it's play after play and we're just eating the defense alive, it's like, for whatever reason, he takes that player out, or he doesn't continue to scheme them in for the rest of that drive, or for the rest of the game for that matter. So I think that's what happened with Steph Diggs. I think they were trying to get him the ball on that one drive. He had the 32-yard catch, and then they just went away from him again. I don't get it, and I totally understand why he's frustrated. And, man, he's a human being, and, I mean, as a top receiver in the NFL, as I said, you should be targeted 10 times a game. There's no reason you shouldn't be.
I know I already talked, but before Brett and Mike go, every other team gets their best player the ball constantly. Cooper Kupp gets triple teamed, always gets the ball. Kelsey gets double, triple teamed, always gets the ball. Deebo Samuel always gets the ball. There's no excuse to, like Jake said, why Diggs should not be featured all the time, no matter what. He can't cook DJ Reed. He can't cook. He's been double teamed and wins coverage all the time. Sauce doesn't even guard him. Sauce doesn't even want to guard him, and that's why they don't put him on there, because they know the rookie will come out of him. But I like Jake said, it frustrates me because him and Josh are your best players, and you're like, well, let's just throw it to people that drop the ball constantly, or who can't get open as much, or aren't as good route runners. Like, throw to Diggs all the time. I don't care if they're like, 17 targets and 10 catches. I don't care. Just get him involved in the game. I don't care if it's 2-yard slants or 2-yard outs. Put the ball in his hand and see what he does with it. And sorry to take up more time, but I just wanted to put that in there. So
Who was so Sean? Last time they had Reed on him, and they were getting help on Stefon Diggs. Was that the same plan today? Is that what they were going with today?
Yeah.
As the bracket.
When Diggs was in the slot, though, that's when he was making his catches. So they put him in the slot sometimes, and he was working with Michael Carter, I believe his name was.
Yep. Yeah, he got absolutely cooked every time.
And then they took him out of the slot. It's like, I don't know what you're doing.
That's what the Cardinals did with Larry Fitzgerald. He wasn't able to get the separation on the outside, so then they moved him inside. The guy was putting up 115 catches a season. This is when Larry Fitzgerald was older, of course. But I know it's a totally different concept. This is for one game. But, like, as Sean said, you move him into the slot, the guy's making plays. He's absolutely toasting Michael Carter every single play. Like, why didn't you keep him in the slot? I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense.
I completely agree. So I don't even care if he's double. Throw him the football.
Right. Yeah, and that too.
Yeah, it's like,
I agree with you guys.
It's such common sense. Remember when we were kids and we were at the playground, Jake, you were at that playground in that weather, in the snow, and you're quarterbacking. Who are you looking for? You know you have your best friend who's the fastest kid on the field. He's the best kid. You're throwing him the ball 90% of the time. Come on, it's common sense. Get Diggs the ball. Like you said, Sean, look at Jefferson's numbers today from Minnesota. They're throwing to him. Look at Garrett Wilson. They're feeding him the ball. You got to feed Diggs the ball. I mean, that's who I'd be looking through to all the time. If it's a 3rd and 2, a crucial play, I'm looking for my man Diggs. Come on. I totally agree with you guys.
I think Josh wants to. I think Josh wants to as well. It's what he's told. I mean, the play calls, it starts up top with that.